Well now, let's see if you put an F and R in the correct location where it's supposed to be, if it actually works. Right now it's in neutral, so we should be able to spin it and have that not move. Now if this is spaced from here correctly, this will not pull on the engine and move at all. So right now that should just spin. Now we take this and we click that direction, and we should be able to see the gear move. And then we click it the other direction and we should see the gear move. Now one thing I will note is this thing is very soft going into neutral. There we go. Hi guys, Redneck Computer Geek here. So, you bought an F&R transmission, and you found out that your F&R should work with a 30 series. So you grab your torque converter plate, you start mocking it up, nothing lines up. Then you get on YouTube and you find a bunch of YouTube videos that tell you to throw this away, to go get a 40 series torque converter, to take this transmission, put it out in here, put it underneath here, put it everywhere. But they're all wrong. It doesn't matter how many views you got, how many subscribers you got. If you do something wrong, you did it wrong. This series of F&R transmission was meant to go with a series of go-karts called TrailMasters. They were made for TrailMaster minis with reverse. Now, literally a few minutes worth of Google search, and as long as you're not furbing around too much, you can find these. They're engine mount plates that are made to bolt in an F&R. Now, why are there so many YouTubers that do it wrong? Well, the answer is there's only about 2, maybe 3 locations here in the United States that you can actually buy these. And that one bracket on most of those websites is $60 to $80 plus astronomical, stupidly marked up shipping. That, I assume, is why it is so many YouTubers choose to mount these incorrectly and then do all kinds of riggery instead of just doing it right. Now, what we figured out from these pictures is that there's nothing that lines up in how they're mounted except for this one rear mounting hole. Also, the taller side goes up in underneath the engine. So if we take this torque converter plate off, which, by the way, that's the other reason I think there's no real correct how-to on this, is because you can't just use the torque converter plate as a template. But we'll get to that in a sec. So right now, if we twist this torque converter plate, we can see we're close. We're within adjustment area. Sorry for the shaking. It's currently about 25 degrees in the shop. Alright, we'll put that down there. Now, the next problem is, you got your 30 series, and we'll get that stuck on here. Now, this is just tack welded into place. And then we get the other half of our 30 series, and we put that on here. Now, I do want to mention that all of the hateful Amazon reviews on this are correct. For some reason, a lot of these have 16mm shafts that you have to grind down in order to be able to put a torque converter on, which is what I did with this. And I'll include links to what I'm using in this video. So from here, if we grab a straight edge, and we put a straight edge across here, we're lined up pretty well, getting close. But as you can see, that F&R transmission mounts way in behind the oil fill. The other note here that I figured out is that the center of this lines up almost exactly with the center of this, and it also lines up almost exactly with the oil drain plug on the bottom. So now, if we pull this off, you'll see just how offset this is. Let me set this down. If we come over here and we look down, you'll see it's offset there. So this is down so that this mounting bolt is roughly about a ½ an inch out and probably about a ½ an inch down from the height of the mounting plate right here. Now what I did was I cut out both of these brackets for both this side and the other side, help if I could speak. And then I welded it together on the back side of it with a flat bar. I grounded the whole thing flat. Then I took and I made some L bracket and I bolted it to the bottom of the engine. Templated everything underneath here about 3 times. Because what I realized is if you have your standard mounting plate here and you look at the picture right there compared to that hole there, it's about the distance that the bolt is thick from there. Which means that what I did was I templated that hole and that hole onto the L bracket, and then I laid a bolt across it and drew a straight line from here to here and sliced it off just past right about there. That way, I could cram it all in the vise, tack weld it 28 times and square it, screwing it up. And now we're going to weld it into place and grind out this one, which is supposed to be the adjuster anyway, to bring this up and in just a little bit further. And hopefully, we should be good to go. Let's see if we can get some awkward measurements here. So earlier we noticed that lined up with that centering bolt on the other side of the engine. But what I wanted to point out was that if I line this up with that and we come down through, we can see that we are way off. We've got far more to that side than we do to that side. So I just wanted to point out it's not a matter of just center that thing up. Right there, it doesn't work out. Now, as you can see, that mounting tab is pretty well in line with that one. And that mounting tab is quite a bit in from that one. Now, if we throw our old square on here, we are probably at about 1.5 inches to the center of that top one. So that's not too bad. And if we grab this and we throw that on there, just about, we're at about 1/2 inch down. Now, I did realize that this actually should have been in that way a little bit. So let's see here. If we set the square kind of like yay. So that's a 1 inch mark there. So if that had been in about 1/2 inch, I think it probably would have worked out better. As it is now, I'm tracing these out so that I can cut them. I'm going to ream these back through so that I can rotate the whole thing back. That also means I've got to get in here. And I didn't realize my bar that I welded in was going to be in the way. So I don't know. I got to decide what to do there. I might relocate the bar to down in here, weld one in, and then slice this one out. But you get the idea. You ever start on another project just so that you can be able to feel good that you finished a nice, easy project, but then you find out that the directions aren't exactly the directions you thought they would be, and they're missing a little? Well, that's my life almost every day as a beta tester. For example, this is a stool by VEVOR that was sent to me in order to be able to put together, beta test, and I'll end up sending them an email after this that tells them that the directions were for the wrong stool and this is what I would edit, and things like that. With that being said, I get offered a lot of the same sponsorships as other larger channels do, which is why it is this video I'm a little pointed about people doing things wrong. Case in point, this video was sponsored by VEVOR, who sent us the F&R, knowing that we were going to make this video. On top of that, we have Bravex, who sponsored us in order to have the CVT that went with this particular F&R. And last but not least, I would like to make a big thank you to DuroMax. DuroMax has sponsored many engines on this channel over the last year and a half. We've actually got one sitting right here that needs to go in another project. Over on the back side over here, we have another propane-powered one that is waiting in order to go into another project this spring. And VEVOR sent us this welder in order to beat the snot out of. And that's the key thing I'd like to point out here. On this channel, if you like a channel that does not take payment for doing videos, I take no money whatsoever. I send every single company the same exact email that if they send me something, I do not want to get paid. I just want the item for free so that I can show you guys and do a honest, straight outright, this is what I think review. That being said, I gotta redo this so that I can get back to this. Alright. There we go. That's all lined up. As we stated, we cut this in with the grinder in order to be able to slot it in. Sorry, die grinder, not grinder as in flat grinder. So now, at this point, I need to assemble these onto here and make sure the belt and everything goes on. And we should be good to figure out putting it in the engine bay on the next video. Some pretty nice tires on that thing, actually. Whoa! There we go. Got that cylinder driven in now. I don't usually do soapbox videos like this one. If you're new to the channel and you're finding this in a search engine, the reason why this ended up a soapbox video is because when my son and I were working on this gas-powered Power Wheel project, and we were starting to get into the F&R idea and things like that, I went hunting around on YouTube because there was no way that somebody else hadn't created a video on it. And so I intended to link to that video and not bother trying to make a brand new video that was just the same as somebody else's creation. But when I ended up looking it up and finding that literally all the top videos were putting in a different location, using a centrifugal clutch and a gear drive, and having to use a lathe in order to make it work, and not everybody has a lathe, or converting it over to using a 40 series, using adapters and stuff, and a 40 series belt because that got it long enough rather than mounting it in the location it's supposed to be in, or things like that. I just couldn't get past it. As a father and as a gearhead, if something has mounting holes that are factory design mounting holes, they're meant to bolt to something. And if you end up watching a video where somebody has to make it so that it works somewhere else, that is one thing. But if there's a factory location that it is supposed to mount and they make a half an hour video or a 45-minute video of just fuddling around in order to put it somewhere else, they didn't do it to be a how-to. They did it in order to get you to watch it for 45 minutes so that they get to charge you for all of that advertisement. Thank you very much for watching this video. Like I said, if you're finding this in a search hit, I apologize for the soapbox nature, but I do hope that you will subscribe in order to have sponsored videos, but yet done in an honest manner. Have a good day.